cease your pretense. I know you have returned to consciousness.
What the hell happened? I was just listening to the steward blabbing away with the captain and then...
And then you lost control.
I don't know, it's like something in my head zapped me so it could use my mouth. But I was still there. Still thinking what I was saying.
This is not the first time you have felt this presence manifest itself.
No. No, it's been there since the temple. It's also in my dreams. I think...
Interesting. It would seem that your body is host to some other entity. And it is clearly a spirit of fire.
No kidding. I got a demon in my head.
Something of the kind. In truth, I could not say what it is. Not yet, at least.
Don't make me laugh. After all, it's your disciples that let this thing out of its cage, right?
That has nothing to do with it. Do you have any idea of the implications of this incident?
Tök mindegy, első.
What? Just because I said some weird shit? Believe me, it's not the first time that's happened.
Obviously, you haven't understood. The thing that is inside you, it wishes you ill. There is not enough space inside you for two souls. That demon wants your body. It will control you more and more until it has replaced you completely.
Ha! Thou thinkest I crave the body of a mortal? I am a prisoner here. My place is in the world heart.
It will not hesitate to lie to you, to tell you that which you wish to hear, so that you will allow it to consume you.
I never asked for this cage. I never asked to be forced to hear thy every thought. It is I who have been invaded.
It speaks to you. Do not listen to it. Cast it from you. If you do not resist, it will crush your soul.
Hey, take it easy. One day at a time, okay? I'm gonna take a walk.
És közben szintet is léptünk. Na. Szerintem az lesz, hogy ezt a térképet ezt ki fogom kapcsolni, mert tök fölösleges. Aztán majd kapcsolgatni fogom. Mert az előbb egy pici kis problémát okozott, de ezt úgyse fogjátok észrevenni. Mert már megoldottam időközben. Na. Ha már szintlépés. Plusz 10%, plusz 20%, igen. 2 pont kell hozzá, jó. Akkor itt pedig... Megszakítás képessége nehéz fegyverekkel plusz 10%, plusz 20%. Jó, akkor ezt kinyomjuk. Úgy ahogy van. Aztán akkor ennyi. Meg egy gyors mentés közben. Szibillel nem kell beszélni egyelőre, hiszen úgyse tud még plusz információkat adni. Ezzel a fickóval pedig kéne beszélni, mindjárt. Csak itt van egy ládika. Van életerőfőzet, meg robbanó csapda. Jó.
Mr. Vulcan, what brings you here?
Ó, keleti szél, de amúgy mindegy. Többet a faluról nem akarom megtudni.
The captain wants me to help your village. You got a job I can do?
With our shortages of food and fighting men, our worn-out equipment and the growing lines at the healing house, I cannot deny our village is sorely in need of help. Sadly, I fear that these are not the sort of problems you are used to dealing with, unless I'm much mistaken.
Maybe I'll surprise you.
Igen, meglepődsz, mert nekem most kellenek a mellékületések, mert sok tapasztalati pontra van szükségem.
So what's the problem with the healing house?
Quite simply, Mirana cannot keep up. She spends every waking minute giving out supplies to the refugees and refuses to admit that she cannot help everyone. She thinks she's fooling me. I have heard rumors that her food stock is running low. Unsurprisingly, the crowds outside are becoming restless. I believe they wish to continue handing out our food reserves as though they were unlimited. This is not the case, and thus, it is not an option.
So, you want someone to put her down?
Why, I never suggested any such thing. I just wish she would see reason, for all our sakes. But I have asked nothing of you. I was merely answering your question.
Jó, igen.
Your guards... How can I put this? At first, I thought they were disobeying orders. Now I think maybe they don't even understand them. If you're stupid and incompetent, you should be digging turnips, not taking care of security.
You're beginning to worry me. Is it really that bad?
Are you kidding me? The state of their weapons is enough to make you cry. Maybe they'd be good for splitting logs.
Personally, I'm not capable of judging the aptitude of our sentries, but their poor results speak for themselves. Doubtless, you should share your observations with Mason, the chief of the watch. I should warn you, however, that he is of a somewhat stubborn nature.
Wouldn't be the first I've seen.
Na, az a részek pasas, akivel az előbb beszéltünk, és a démon azt mondta rá, hogy bunkó? Mindegy, az a fickó.
I need the reports about this beast that attacked the villagers.
I fear I am unable to be of help. I'm still not entirely convinced that it even exists. All I know is that several villagers have vanished. One villager is at present in the doctor's care, following a supposed encounter with the said beast. These swamps are crawling with dangers. There is nothing to suggest anything out of the ordinary. The refugees are always inventing horror stories in an attempt to force us to open our gates and let them inside.
It might be worth checking it out. You said you lost one of your patrols, right?
That is so. You should speak with Randval. He was most anxious to go out and hunt the beast down, but we needed him here. Now that we have more able bodies to guard our gates, I imagine he would be keen to pick up the scent once more.
Jó. Akkor
We'll
ennyi
talk again
mehetünk is.
later.
Jó. Ugye Randall az ott van, de azzal majd később beszélünk. Egyelőre a többi mellékületésre fogunk most rákoncentrálni. Mason őrség kapitányával, jó, azzal is beszélgetni fogunk, csak előtte körbe nézek erőteljesen. Amúgy rosszul mondtam, hogy volt az a homokóra jel, az igazából azt jelentette, hogy ott meg tudunk pihenni. Ez nem azt jelentette, hogy majd lesz ott egy mellékületés, hanem hogy az egy ilyen pihenőhely, hogyha mondjuk esetleg le akarna valaki itt feküdni, és mondjuk nem tetszik neki az éjszakai lét, az akkor alszik egy picikét, aztán akkor reggel van egy idő után, de hát én nem veszem igénybe ezt a szolgáltatást, köszöntük szépen. Jó, akkor szépen elmegyünk erre. Nézzük, hogy itt mi a helyzet. Zsoldos sisakja, igen, számszeréi vesszők, bőr.
Greetings, mercenary. What can I do for you?
Milyen
Can I
készletekre?
have a look at your stock?
Eladás, vásárlás. Mit adsz? Életerő főzetet? 40 ér. Nem. Nem. Ja, hát eléggé rossz bőrben van a pasas. Ó, itt van Rel már, igen.
Greetings, mercenary. What can I do for you?
I have some
Kérdés.
questions I'd like to ask you.
Ki az a nagy horkoló tünde, igen?
Who's the big snoring elf?
Show some respect, please. That's Prince Arundel.
And?
He's the son of the Elven King, leader of the last army standing against the Deadwalkers.
Yeah, okay. But he doesn't exactly look like he's ready to stand against anything just now. What's wrong with him?
From what I've been told, Relmar brought him here before we arrived. The prince and his men fell in an ambush. Without your friend, he wouldn't have made it out. Unfortunately, he was severely wounded and has probably been the victim of powerful magic. I'm trying to find a cure, but without much success for the moment.
Igen. Hát szerintem nem biztos, hogy el tudjam magyarázni, mi van velünk.
Do you have any idea about what's happening to me?
I'm afraid I may not be able to help you. Your condition is more due to magic than medicine. Your symptoms remind me of certain mental illnesses, where the subject has the impression he hears voices in his head.
And do these nutcases throw fire and have eyes that burn from within too?
You'd be surprised at what they can do. But obviously you're not like them. That being the case, if you study them, you might find some answers. In particular, I'm thinking of the fact that most of these poor madmen end up giving free rein to the darkest side of their personalities. Make sure that doesn't happen to you.
Jó. Megpróbálom.
I'll
Jó.
be going now.
Na, veled mi a helyzet?
Vulcan, you must help me. The prince is dying.
Well, I'm happy to see that my talents as a doctor are finally being recognized.
There's no doubt an explosion would cure him of all his ills forever. But I was actually thinking about your connections with the Red Scribes. If you could speak to them, it would save me having the prince's death on my conscience.
I wouldn't exactly call myself a friend of theirs. But yeah, I can always give it a try.
Velem akarsz jönni? Nem, lenne ilyen kérdésem, hogy felszaknám. Finomítunk a harcostílusodon, hogy van a herceg,
I have a few questions I need to ask you.
Tündékről, kicsoda a herceg, honnan származó, ismert ezeket a mocsarékat, akkor menjünk szépen
Elves are
sorban.
pretty rare. I haven't had the chance to talk to many. Can you tell me more about your people?
We are born in the trees, eat only seeds, and we spend all the livelong day singing.
I get the feeling you're fucking with me.
Perish the thought. Well, it's just that we aren't that different from you humans, despite what one hears. Our civilization is obviously a bit older, so we have had the time to learn from our mistakes. We don't really live in the same rhythm as you do. We move a little slower, and most of us are prone to having at least some respect for the past. This is the reason why we never destroy anything, that we prefer to build on top of things.
Halhatatlanok
I've
vagytok?
heard that you are immortal.
That joke has lived for 15 generations. I will never get tired of it. No, we're not immortal. We live long lives, though. Much longer than you. We are resistant to poisons, rotten food, and toxic body odor, apparently. Unfortunately, these things do not make us immortal.
Igen.
Don't elves ever make war?
That's an impression we like to give other people. The fact is, we do go to war, just never against each other. You must understand that, given our long lifetimes, battles are fairly futile. This may well be what has motivated the choices of our king concerning the Ice Lords. But we certainly know how to fight, and you'll see proof of that soon enough.
So it's the prince who gives the orders.
The word orders may not be the best one. We do not submit nor obey easily. Our kings are a reference, wise men who can point out the way. They tend to guide us rather than give us orders. But to answer your question, it is his father the king who is the leader of our people.
Igen, kicsoda a
Who's
herceg?
the elf in the healing house? Is he really your prince?
He is Prince Arundel, the son of our king and heir to the elven crown. Therefore, yes, he is our king.
How the hell did he end up here?
Prince Arundel led a detachment of the elven army sent to harass the Deadwalkers. And when he reached Bastion, he fell into an ambush. I got wind of this trap, but by the time I arrived, it was too late. When I caught up to the prince, he was already wounded, and most of his soldiers were dead. Those who survived covered our retreat.
To here?
Yes. The route to Carolthas was too dangerous. I knew about this village and felt that it would be secure for at least a little while. As soon as he gets better, we shall leave for Carolthas. The remainder of the human and elven armies are gathering there. That is where the final stage of the war will be played out.
Király, te honnan
You seem
származol?
different from the other elves I've met. Where are you from?
Really? I seem different. And yet I have such pointy ears. And if you really want to know, I actually come from one of the most ancient and noble houses that exists. I'm even linked to the royal family. But I can assure you that I'm sufficiently far down the line of succession to be in no danger of being crowned. And my reputation is no help either.
As far as bad reputations go, every mercenary has got one, so we're used to it.
Let's just say that I got into enough trouble to eventually be considered a traitor to my people. When I got involved in the war, I disagreed with decisions made by the king. He thought that this war, like so many others, would not last. That the conquests won by the Ice Lords would melt away like all the human victories before them had. But I thought differently. Right from the start of hostilities, I began to requisition certain resources I felt necessary for those doing the fighting. More food, more weapons, better armor. When my people discovered what I'd done, I was declared an outlaw, and many saw me as a thief, which, in a manner of speaking, I guess I was.
Szóval áruló vagy és tolvaj?
You refused to obey the orders of your king, and you stole resources. No wonder they outlawed your ass.
Nonetheless, I was right. The Deadwalker army is a threat to us all, and not only the humans. If we had entered the war at the start, joining with the humans, we would have had a chance of defeating them. Today we might already be too late. The human armies were decimated and Virtual is in ruins. So perhaps they consider me a traitor, but my conscience is clear. It is my people who should be ashamed.
Igen, ezzel a mocsárral mi a helyzet?
I've been in this area long enough to have explored a fair amount of it, actually. The region is rather inhospitable, which I suppose is a good thing under the present circumstances.
A good thing? You're out of your mind.
These swamps are a labyrinth. The Deadwalker scouts will never be autonomous enough to find their way to the village by themselves.
That means we should be fairly safe for the moment. At least until a general or an ice lord comes to town.
Except that recently, there has been a change in these swamplands. And I must admit that I no longer feel safe at all.
What do you mean?
Something is affecting the swamplands, corrupting the vegetation and the animals. And I have no idea what it is. But anything that grows or lives here could become a threat. So I strongly recommend that you watch where you put your feet.
Jó van.
Let's change the subject.
Na. Jó,
I'll
mehetünk.
leave you here.
Nem megyek sehova, és hát nem viszem magammal ezt az emberkét. Nem tudok itt kimenni. Beszéljek Szilvannal. Jó.
Do you have any idea how to wake the elf prince up?
Unfortunately, I don't. I think I've tried just about every remedy I know, but nothing works.
You said just about. I'm guessing that's not by chance?
It's true. There's one formula I haven't tried yet. An extremely powerful solution that requires a certain ingredient to make. An ingredient I don't have.
What is it?
A very virulent poison secreted by the chrysalid queen. But be careful you don't mix them up with the ones you usually see. I wanted to go looking for them myself, but the villagers stopped me. They say they're really dangerous. It seems they can be found along the road we took to get here. And apparently they only come out at night.
I'll get you some.
Yeah.
I'll be going now.
Ez is megvan. Napszak megváltoztatása változtathatsz az aktuális napszakon, ha a térképen igen ezt az ikonnal szimbolizált alvóhelyre mész. Nem kell. Szóval itt nem tudok kimenni. Gyújts össze alapanyagokat éjjel. Na nézzük csak itt mi a helyzet.
It's frustrating. I feel completely useless here.
Fantasztik, igen. Mit? Ti?
Mercenary.
Can I do something for you?
No, thank you. I don't need anything for the moment.
Jó.
I'll be going now.
Ha nem kell semmi, akkor nem kell semmi. Én nem erőltetem. Én csak XP-t akarok. Tapasztalati pontot. Itt ki tudok menni. Jó. Akkor mentés, és kimehetünk.